Welcome in, Kaspa community. I am the CryptoBullGod, and in today's video, what we're going to discuss is if it is feasible for Kaspa to
hit $2 to $4 by the year 2024.
If you appreciate the content, make sure to hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment, and make sure you click that bell icon for all notifications to make sure that you know when I go live each and every single weekday for my daily TA live stream. It's called All in the Charts, where I take your crypto TA questions. Plus, you need to know when videos like this go live. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and Tradingview. It's one word. Whoop! Ooh, double highlight. CryptoBullGod. Just a quick disclosure that none of what I'm providing is financial advice. I'm simply looking to educate and to help others through sound, logical, technical analysis. We're all big boys and we're all big girls, so we can make our own personal financial decisions. With that being said, let's get into it.
All right, guys, we're going to start off with some immediate price action going on in the markets right now, specifically for KAS. And then we're going to get into why I believe $2 to $4 is very reasonable for next year. So if we look at the current price pattern that's being printed here, it's fairly obvious to anyone with basic TA skills that we have a pole and we have a pennant. This is a bull pennant, okay? Just because the shape of this pennant differs from what I had originally shared on Twitter a week or 2 weeks ago, it doesn't change the fact that as data has emerged, the pattern that is still valid and presents itself is a bull pennant. And I have the technical target drawn up here towards, it looks like 38 cents. What you have to understand is that the market psychology of this movement and the reason that it is so healthy to see the consolidation that's going on is we see a meteoric rise in price, right? That represents the pole portion of this pattern, okay? This is when everyone's getting excited. We went from 5 all the way up to our current all-time highs of 55 cents. Don't we wish? 15.5 cents, right? We 3x'd pretty quickly. Now what happens is because these price indicators have become a little bit overbought, they've become a little bit frothy. What happens is this is what you want to see. We're getting some nice, healthy consolidation. This low is still much higher than this low, which is higher than this low, right? So we still have the higher highs and higher lows going on. And in the meantime, while price is coiling up like this and consolidating, what it allows to have happen in the chart is for some of these technical indicators like a MACD or a relative strength index, RSI, it allows them to cool off. Meanwhile, the people who are emotional and don't understand basic TA principles, they get salty during this period. They're watching meme coins running, wondering why Caspa isn't running, okay? It is cooling off in a healthy, sustainable manner. Remember, we don't want to get too parabolic too soon because that will result in a really large correction. Here we had a 300% move up, and it looks like we're getting around a 25 or 30% correction, which is par for the course. The other thing that I want to point out on this 3-day chart is that if we look in the past, this orange line, which is the 20 simple moving average, okay, on the 3-day chart, since around, it looks like July of this year for approximately, 5 months, this orange line has held as an area of support. You can see we broke down a little bit below the 50 simple moving average. Of course, the price data is a little immature, but there isn't a ton of price data here on the 3-day. But only one time have we broken below the 50 simple moving average, kind of hugged the line. For the most part, the 20 simple moving average, which is the orange line, has held as an area of support region. So I would anticipate anywhere between 9 cents and roughly 10 to 11 cents to hold as an area of support. So we'll have to see if the flag pattern ends up panning out. One quick view on the KAS BTC relativity chart for the bots that are out there on Twitter. I'm assuming they're bots for people who are doom and gloom and saying Kaspa is going to a penny. Guys, this is one of the strongest altcoin charts that you could find in all of crypto. What you're seeing here in layman's terms is that Kaspa is appreciating, and it's been doing this since inception, okay? Caspa is appreciating with a higher rate of return relative to Bitcoin. It's outpacing Bitcoin consistently. We're not getting a sharp angle up and then lower highs and lower lows and maybe even building a floor down here. No, we are building higher highs and higher lows, which are the basic building blocks of a bullish narrative. So things are looking good. All right, as promised, now we're going to get into the bread and butter here, which is why I believe it's very reasonable for Caspa to hit $2 to $4 by next year in 2024. If you've appreciated this content so far, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, drop me a comment. You gotta click that bell icon for all notifications to know when I go live. Yes, I'm still going live for my daily TA live stream, which will resume in January. It's called All in the Charts, where I take your TA questions. Let's get into it. All right, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to build the case of why I believe we're going to $2 to $4 with Caspa by taking a look at the implicit assumptions used and how I'm projecting out prices. All three scenarios, we're using three coins in this case. We're looking at Litecoin, Matic, and Cardano. All three scenarios assume we're going to break out of the top 20. My base case scenario is that we're going to hit a market cap at least similar to Litecoin, okay, which is currently positioned at 18. So just breaking out of the top 20 around that 18 market cap just to keep track with Litecoin. Whether or not Litecoin bumps up to 15 or 16 or falls back to 19, the point is I'm using Litecoin as my gauge. That's my base case scenario. My best case scenario is looking at what would happen if we got up to a market capitalization rate similar to Cardano. And the last assumption that I'm making is that the supply for all of these tokens is constant. Now, I like to keep things stupid simple. Could I have gone through an exercise to project out increases in supply in these four tokens? Sure, but it's not going to have a material impact. Remember, in these projections, do not want to imply a false sense of precision, okay? These are ballpark estimates. Nobody out there is going to be able to tell you with certainty where Caspa or any other cryptocurrency is going to be valued by next year. The other thing that is not indicated here in my assumptions that I want to speak to before we start looking at projections, I am also assuming that the entire crypto market is topping next year. Now, my main thesis is in the first half of 2024. It runs contrarian to 95% of what you're reading out there. An alternative scenario is maybe Bitcoin doesn't top till the end of 2024. Some of these cryptos could run into early 2025. But really my main thesis here is all of crypto is going to have a parabolic rise a lot sooner than most people think. And we're going to top within the first half. Bitcoin will top within the first half of 2024. Let's get into it. So we're going to look at three scenarios. And the way we're going to do this, we're going to focus on price up here. Okay, so this is looking at price. Down here, we'll be looking at market cap. And anything which we'll get into a little bit later, these are going to be price multiples down here. So let me clearly convey to you what is indicated in column E. These were the current values of the tokens as I looked at these on Saturday, December 16th. Okay, these were the USD values of these coins. Now, in order for KAS to achieve a market cap similar to these three projects, Litecoin, Matic, and Cardano, these are the USD values respectively KAS would need to hit. And you can see when we go down to the market cap down here, it should make sense that the market cap here for Caspa is equal to the three values up here, right? So this is saying if Caspa hit 21.72 billion in market cap, it would match Cardano. Cardano is currently sitting at 61 cents. That would imply Caspa would hit 98 cents. One more example real quick. Matic today is 8.15 billion. If Caspa were to match that market cap, obviously it'd be the same market cap at 8.15. This would also imply at a USD value of 85 cents for Matic. Caspa would be at a USD value of 37 cents. Now, as of time of recording, we can actually take a look at this. We can see Cardano is in the top 10 at number 8. Polygon Matic is at 14 and Litecoin is at 18. So this is a really good representation in terms of looking at something that is very reasonable. Again, base case here is we're going to break the top 20, right? I came out here months ago and I had a countdown on my YouTube channel that I stopped, unfortunately, doing because I've had some personal issues that I have needed to focus on and I haven't been on YouTube lately. But I made the bold call that in the fourth quarter of this year, Caspa would get in the top 20, 25. We achieved number 25, okay? So again, it's not unreasonable once momentum picks up in this market, because keep in mind, all of these moves that Caspa has done has not been during a period of euphoria. It has had an insane run, and this is during a time when peak interest and money is not flowing into the market. So I believe barely breaking top 20 and being near Litecoin is very reasonable. Even pulling up to Polygon Matic, which I think could even pull into the top 10 by next year. Or best case scenario, getting somewhere in the top 10. If it were, I would envision it would, sneak in here maybe at 7, 8, 9, or even 10. So let's take a look at how I performed my projections. So for projected price 1, what this is saying here is it's implying ADA will top out next cycle at its prior cycle peak. So I think it's a very reasonable assumption to say, what if Cardano underperforms and only double tops at 320, which was its prior all-time high? We're also doing the same thing for Litecoin. We're assuming that Litecoin triple tops at 420. That's not my primary view, but it's certainly a possibility we all should consider. And Polygon Matic, I think, is going to be a very strong performer. So I have its first projected valuation at $5.50. Now down here, if we come to the market caps, these are the implied market capitalization values at these price levels that I'm projecting, right? So at $3.20, ADA would be approximately $114 billion. At $5.50 for Matic, it would be approximately a $53 billion or $52.74 billion valuation market cap. What we've done here is we've projected matching USD values for these corresponding market capitalizations. So once again, you can see I'm saying if Caspa were to hit the same market cap for scenario A, okay, you can see this is scenario A, we're going to be at 114 billion, right? Well, Cardano under scenario A is at 320 with $114 billion valuation. CAS would be at $5.20, right? And so on and so forth. You can see for Matic it's at 240, and at Litecoin it's $1.40. Projected price 2 would be ADA and Litecoin both hitting a valuation higher than their prior all-time highs. For ADA, I'm a little sketchy, honestly, if it's going to be able to blow past, given some of the underperformance this year. But I could see $5 as a very reasonable target for Cardano. Once we start getting into valuations higher than $5 for Cardano, I'm a little sketchy. So I think $5 is reasonable. I do think that Litecoin is going to break the 420 mark, and I think $700 is very reasonable. And then I have Matic at 750. So you can see the corresponding USD values this would imply for Caspa. Projected scenario 3 is the highest that I see any of these three going. ADA at $7, Matic at $9, and Litecoin at $900. I know there's a lot of talk around a psychological level for Litecoin at 1,000. I'm skeptical that we're going to go that high. I could see something that falls short around 900. And you can see the corresponding USD values if CAS were to achieve the same market caps as these. You can see 250 for 249.25 for Cardano, 86.29 for Matic, and 66.78 for Litecoin. Now, what is highlighted in green here? What's up with this? These are the most likely valuations I could see us going to for Caspa. Obviously, this is subjective. This is based on a few things. Allow me to clearly explain this. The first item of consideration is what realistic values could I see for the tokens that I'm comparing it to? I think $3.20 is very likely for Cardano. I think it is very likely that Matic's going to hit somewhere in between 550 to 750. And I think more than likely Litecoin is going to hit, break its prior all-time high at $7 and could go as high as, $700 and go as high as $900. So that's these corresponding USD values. Now, to put that into context, what I'm saying is I think it's very likely Cardano is going to do at least a 5x, somewhere between a 5 and 8, but very likely it's doing a 5. I think Matic, it's very likely it's going to do anywhere between a 6.5 to 10.5x or 10.6x. And I think it's very likely that Litecoin will do somewhere between a 9.7 to 12.5x. I think those are very reasonable. These are, again, the market capitalization value. So you can see I'm giving a range here between 50 to $114 billion, okay? That puts it somewhere in this ballpark, right? It's really between 240 and 5. I'm a little less comfortable going with a very aggressive target of $5. Do I think that $5 and north is possible for Caspa? Absolutely. The only way it's going to achieve that high of a USD value is if it breaks into the top 10. Okay, that's the only way it's going to be in the top 10 is it would have to go over $5 based on where I see the top 10 going. Okay, it's certainly possible. I view it as a real possibility. But if I was to come up with what I think is most likely, I think, again, recognizing this, I don't want to imply a false sense of precision here. I'm not saying 240 to 390. I'm saying, hey, $2 to $4 based on what I'm projecting out here. Now, I know there are a lot of people out there that like to get fixated on a market cap, like comparing things to Cardano and saying, well, if it goes to 100 billion, or can it go to 50 billion? Or look at this fractal. I think those items add value to the space. But what I'm attempting to do in this video is to put something together that is value added, that hasn't been spoken to. Here, what I'm doing again is I'm building a business case to say Kaspa will go into the top 20. At worst, it's going to match Litecoin's valuation. If it goes higher, it could get as high as Polygon Matic. And best case scenario is we get into the top 10 and match something accordingly to Cardano. Again, if something crazy happened and Cardano went ballistic and it could get in between 5 and 8, look, I welcome it. But again, I like to put something together that I think is more reasonable. Okay, $2 to $4. It just needs to break into that top 20 and be performing somewhere similar to Litecoin and Matic. Now, if you stuck around to this point, there's one other item that I wanted to share with you. These are the price multiples. Okay, these are the price multiples it would need to achieve, Kaspa would need to achieve. At time of recording, you can see Kaspa was at 12 cents. Now it's at about 10 or 11 cents. But at 12 cents, you can see current price. To get to $2, that would be a 16.7x. To get to 3, it would be a 25x. To get up to $4, it would be a 33.3x. Anywhere between rounding, anywhere between a 17 to 30x after the price performance that we have seen out of this asset. One of the strongest looking charts, if not the strongest looking chart on the CAS BTC relativity chart. Not to mention the fact that when Euphoria comes in, the tokens with the strongest narrative, community, fundamentals, and TA, those are the ones that are going to win, guys. This is a newer project that I have not been, this is the most excited I've been about a project from a fundamental perspective as I've said, in a very long time, okay? So for me, a 17 to 33 multiple is very possible. If you appreciated the technical analysis as well as the value-added content, I would appreciate a thumbs up. Make sure you click the bell icon to get all notifications to know when I go live again. I will be back in early to mid-January, full time. I will be back. It'll be great to be back. And Kaspa community, until next time, everybody, Everybody tuning in, I appreciate it. Until next time, everybody, let's all spread awareness and let's carry the education forward.
So what you gonna do, $dollar on CryptoBullGod and his crypto maniacs and the entire cryptocurrency market? Run wild!